Hello everyone and welcome back to another LEGO set review from BrickByBrick, and today we have a review of the full set of Series 21, which is at number 71029, as you can see on the bottom of the bag there. And this was the first minifigure series of the year 2021, and contains only 12 minifigures this time, which is a first for a LEGO CMF series. It seems like that's the new normal. I guess that could change, but at least for 2021, we will just be getting 12 figures per series. They do keep the $5 price, so, you know, still the kind of what you'd expect. And yeah, here's the leaflet looks like. Again, you know, you got the vertical orientation back, and the figures are a little bit larger on the pamphlet because I do use the same size pamphlet as previous series since they switched to the newer packaging, which is a little bit thinner, and the back does just show you how to build some of the figures that, in this case, mostly just ones that have accessories that are slightly more complicated to build. First up in the series, we have this paddle surfer here, and this is, you know, a slightly different version of, you know, thing than what we've seen before, but you know, it shares a lot of elements with just general surfers, you know, because it does just use a surfboard piece as the paddle board, and, you know, it's got new printing on it, and, you know, uses some vibrant coral there, which I guess is kind of an interesting, slightly different thing, but, you know, other than that, it's just kind of a paddle board. Seems like mine's not perfectly centered, but it's not too bad at, you know, first glance. Yeah, it seems like the printing on mine's a little bit shifted, but you can stand your figure on that, obviously, and, you know, have her holding the paddle in her other hand. But the big thing here that you're going to notice right away, and you'll feel it right away, too, if you are, you know, feeling out packs in stores, is that Dolphin. And, yeah, very obvious, and, you know, probably relatively memorable accessory. I don't, you know, think that it's too special or anything. I think this is the same color they used in the LEGO Batman movie series. Maybe it was dark gray, I don't remember. But this one here is in sand blue, and it does just have the printing for the eyes on both sides, and, you know, it's cool to get. It's just, we have gotten Dolphins in CMF series before, so it's not anything too interesting. The white color is a slightly less common color for the paddle part, but the interesting, you know, thing about this figure here is probably more so that new color for the life jacket part, but we do have to remove that in order to see the printing on the torso underneath. And at least to me, that's probably a more interesting look. I don't know, I just like the overall colorful, you know, vibe that that shirt has going on. And, you know, it's just nice looking, and it does have a dolphin on it, which kind of ties into the dolphin accessory. We have the back printing on it. It's a little bit more simple, but, you know, it's totally fine. No real problems there. But yeah, it's a cool torso print, and she does have the dual molded legs as well. And the interesting thing about you know, this torso and legs is that they're gender neutral, so you could just swap this out, and, you know, this doesn't have to be a girl necessarily, which is just kind of something different. Usually with something like this, especially a you know, surfer character, you would expect it to kind of be a little bit more gender specific. But I think that this is the first you know, mildly gender neutral, well, mostly gender neutral, you know, design that we have seen. The face print obviously is a female face print. She just had the sunglasses on one side and, you know, a smiling expression on the other. I prefer the sunglasses just because it's a little bit more unique, and she does have a new, I believe that this is a new color combination for the hat with ponytail, but at the very least, it does have new printing that we haven't seen before. And, you know, overall, a pretty decent figure. Up next, we have this Violin kid, and this is actually kind of a simple figure, but I do really like the accessory included. I think that this violin is a really neat part, and, you know, it's something that we definitely have not seen before. Yeah, it's pretty cool, pretty well made, too, which is a good thing. And, yeah, I mean, I like the printing on it, and the way the figure holds it. Well, he can hold it by, you know, by, I don't know what you'd call that part of a violin. I guess I'm not a very qualified violin expert to be talking about this, but I guess you could kind of hold it like a cello, like that. But there's also the bar underneath here so that you can hold it in a more traditional way to play the violin. And he does use a Harry Potter wand as an accessory, which is meant to represent the bow of the violin. And I think that works well. I don't have any problems with him using that part. I think that it's a good use of it. The torso print for him is kind of cool because, it's got a Blacktron reference. Well, several Blacktron references because there's a lot of Blacktron logos on there. And, as just a general sweatshirt print, it's pretty good. No complaints there. It's nice that they threw in some sort of Lego theme tie-in, just because otherwise it's kind of a bland shirt. And he doesn't have any printing on his short legs, so those are just kind of plain. I do like his face print though. His hair is nothing special, pretty common as well. But his face print, got two expressions. I like both of them. I think that they're slightly uncommon expressions that we don't get too often with the eyes closed and the confused looks. And moving on to the next figure, we have the Castaway, which, the Violin Kid was kind of a new genre, but it was still just a musician. This is something that we really haven't seen anything too similar to in past CMF series. I guess the closest that we would have seen to this would be the Jungle Boy from Series 7, but this guy is, I think, a little bit more unique and interesting, and this is probably, I'll say it right now, this is probably my favorite one in the series, just because it's cool and unique. Feels like it's right out of the movie Castaway, even though it really isn't at all. It does have a message in a bottle accessory, which is something that I'm kind of surprised that we've never seen before, but it's got some good printing on there. It makes it mildly effective. It's technically a message on a bottle, though. No message actually inside. The figure uses the caveman beard that this color is not new for. It was used in a city set in this color, I believe, and also in the cardboard box promo that was like a slightly recolored version of the caveman from Series 1. The face print underneath is actually kind of different from what I expected. The torso print is pretty good with the seashell necklace, and he does have arm printing on one arm for a little anchor tattoo. Back printing's fine. I like the tattered edge of the pants down there. I assume that they're pants that were ripped off and not shorts that were meant to be like that. But I guess you could use it as either. And they are dual molded, which is pretty good. But the most interesting thing here to me is the little hermit crab accessory, which is pretty cool, pretty cute. I like the eyes on there. Would have been nice maybe if they were dual molded, just a little bit more of that stock was black, but I think that it works. I can't tell if mine is slightly misprinted and looking up a little bit more than it's supposed to, but either way, it's fine. And the way that this part works is it's actually got a bar attachment on there, onto which you attach a hollow stud and a dog poop piece, which is effective. And this isn't even the first time that they've used a dog poop piece to represent a seashell, because it was used in a January 2020 Moana set the same way. And next up we have one of the simpler figures in the series. Not too much detail here, but it's pretty decently effective. It's a Ladybug girl, which is kind of cool, I guess. It's got the same headgear piece that was used for the Bumblebee girl back from Series 10, so I would assume that they would look pretty good next to each other. And the face print is kind of alright. Got the red cheeks, two different expressions for it, which is cool, I guess. I really like the wing piece here. I just think that the way that they did that worked out pretty well. I'm not going to remove it because there's absolutely nothing printed underneath there, so it's not really worth doing, but it does just have a single neck attachment, and that is a hard plastic. The headgear piece is still a rubbery material, though, like it was in Series 10. And the dual molded legs are kind of interesting because it uses red for the top, and that allows the black to look pretty good and the red to be basically the perfect color, like a perfect level of opacity. And the black, when you're printing black on a lighter color, it works out really well. And honestly, usually with dual molding, you can kind of see the seam in printing, because the printing doesn't end up being exactly the same color. But here it works out perfectly, and you cannot even tell. So it's cool, I guess. And her accessory is kind of neat because it is a little 1x1 round tile that is meant to represent a ladybug, which is kind of neat, and you do get an extra part of that. And this ladybug is sitting on a leaf, which is also included, obviously. So, yeah, overall, I think this is a decent figure. Of the two animal costumes in the series, though, I think I have to go with the pug suit guy as the better of the two. It's probably more so just because it's a more interesting animal to base a costume off of, but, I think that they're both pretty decent. I like the molding for this headgear piece a bit better, and, the torso print for him is pretty cool. I really like the bandana that goes around his neck, and, I don't know, just think that works out pretty well. Face print, tongue sticking out looks like something that we've seen before. I like this face print, looks very familiar, but he does have an alternate facial print, which is pretty cool, works well for a dog suit kid. He does use medium-sized legs with printing on the toes, and he comes with a new color for a bone as his accessory, and this headgear piece is dual molded. You can see the black in there. So, you'll always end up getting it pretty crisp lines around the edges of the black, because that's just how dual molding works. And next up we have the Centaur Lady, which is an interesting one to show off just because it doesn't really fit properly onto a minifigure stand. You can have it facing one direction, but it's the opposite direction of all the other minifigures basically, so, and it's not centered on a stand, or not possible to center on a stand, so, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit more interesting. You can obviously place it the other way, but it'll be like it's sticking off the back. So we're gonna stick with that arrangement for now. But it uses the new Centaur mold that was introduced for Harry Potter in 2020. But I think that it's decent to take advantage of it here. It's just kind of a large for a CMF. I believe it's pretty much the same size as. No, I guess it's a bit smaller than a horse piece would be. Same width, but I think it's a little bit shorter. I think there was a 2-stud gap between the legs on horses, so maybe I'm wrong, but please feel free to correct me if I am. It does have a quiver piece, which is attached to a stud on the back of the horse, not on her neck, as you might mistakenly do, and I mistakenly did when I first opened it, and was like, oh wait, I cannot attach the hairpiece here. She does have some pretty decent printing on her torso. I think it looks good, and does have arm printing as well, which is nice, on both arms. And comes with an apple and a bow and arrow as her accessory, and she does have 2 face prints, and uses this hairpiece, which they used a decent amount for Hermione and a couple of the Harry Potter sets. And, on the back, well, actually maybe not a decent amount of the sets, but it was in the first CMF series, so it's not new or anything. And I like her alternate facial print. I think that works out pretty well. And if you don't know how the Centaur body piece works, it basically just has the same attachments that you would see on minifigure legs, though I think they're a little bit shorter. I don't know why, but they are. And yeah, overall, decent figure. Not one of the more interesting ones to me, but I think it was pretty well executed for what it is. Next up we have the Beekeeper, which I think is also a really cool one. It's something that we have not seen before at all in a CMF series, which I guess is also true of the Centaur, but I don't know. I just think that this one is a little bit more interesting to me personally, at least. It does come with 2 accessories, one of which is this cool 2x2 printed tile of a beehive, or a honeycomb print with some bees printed on there, which is kind of cool. I like it, and it works out pretty well designed too. And his other accessory is a smoker, which is not a new piece. It's actually a really clever little build, just using 2 existing pieces, which is a coffee mug piece, and you can see if I turn it upside down, and one of the action stand pieces from the DC CMF series. Both new colors, I believe. I know for sure that the action stand piece in light gray is a new color. Maybe the mug has been around before, but I've never seen it. He does get side printing on his legs, no arm printing, but that's fine, because, his suit is relatively simple, and, I mean, it just looks pretty good. The most interesting thing here is probably the new mold for the Beekeeper mask, and that is dual molded, with a trans black visor, which actually comes out pretty smoky looking, which is appropriate because it's sort of supposed to be a mesh netting, which just, overall works out pretty well. I like the face print on him. The torso print has a little honeycomb logo, as well as a little bit of honey that he got on his outfit. And back printing is pretty simple, and he's licking his lips on his alternate facial expression, which works out pretty well. Next up we have this Ancient Warrior, which definitely is pretty reminiscent of the Series 7 Aztec Warrior, though I don't think that this one is supposed to be specifically Aztec. It feels maybe a little bit more Mayan-inspired to me, but I could be wrong. I don't know exactly what they were going for with this figure, and it's possible that they were just trying to make a generic Ancient Warrior. But being the case, the helmet piece is really well done. It's sort of like leopard inspired, which is kind of nice. And it's got the feathered headdress on the back, which again feels like the Aztec warrior. And I just think that it's a really really well produced part. Maybe a tiny bit plain looking from the back, just because of all the printing that it has going on the sides and front here. But it's a cool part, and he does have a cool face print to go underneath that, with an alternate expression as well, where he's, a little bit less angry, a little bit less warrior-y, and just to show you how that is framed up by the mask, works out well. He does also get a new mold for his weapon, which is this, almost looks like a cricket bat, but it's got black things sticking out of it. I don't really know quite what this is supposed to be, but I think it's some sort of sword, and it is a little bit soft feeling. I don't know if it's maybe just I don't know how it's produced exactly, but it doesn't feel quite as smooth as regular plastic. So I'm thinking maybe the brown color is softer plastic or hard rubber, but I don't know for sure. And he does get good arm printing on his torso, and good printing on the front and back. Like, the overall level of detail here is really cool. This is probably one of the better made ones in the series. It's not one of my favorites just because it's not the most interesting, conceptually to me. But I do really like these shield prints. I think I've always liked the prints that they do on these rounded shields. I think that they always come out pretty well. And this one does use some metallic gold printing on there, so it just comes out really nicely. And overall, I like this figure. It's probably not going to be one of the more memorable ones in the series for me, but I think it's well done. And next up we have this wannabe pilot girl. I don't know what the official name of this figure was. What's it called? The airplane girl. Okay, so, I guess that's true. She's a girl in an airplane. So, airplane girl, I guess, is appropriate. She does use the propeller piece that they've used for Drone Guy in black before, so it's not a new color for that, but it was introduced in the Funfair People Pack as a propeller hat. The plain part looks kind of interesting. I don't know how I feel about the studs on the wings. I guess it, helps make this plane a little bit more useful, but I don't really know what you're going to use it for. I guess if they do start using it for other things, then, I'll be impressed, but I don't know. I just feel like with the fact that they're not really going to be used, at least as far as I can see, I don't see it getting reused much at all. I just don't know why they would bother putting studs there. There's also a stud in front of her, which makes more sense because you could put like a control stick or something, or a button or anything. But yeah, fits around her same way the race car guy from Series 18 did. Pretty hollow on the underside. No attachment points there, but does have attachment points on the top. So I don't know what that's about. But it doesn't have any printing or anything either. So I don't know. Feels a little bit simple, a little bit plain. But you can take her out of the airplane, and then she looks like a pilot girl. Or she's wearing a pilot costume. Printing on the back and front, it's a little bit simplistic still. The face print is nice. I like the little bruise or whatever it is on her face, or patch of dirt, or whatever. But the other thing, in addition to her hairpiece, she does get a pilot hat, or aviator cap, or whatever, with goggles in dark tan, which I think is a new color for those, so I guess that's one of the more interesting things here. But yeah, I don't know. This one's okay. Probably one of my less favorite ones in the series. Like, it's an interesting thing, but it's not. I don't think that the plane part is the best executed thing in the series. So, probably one of the least interesting new molds. I could take it or leave it. And without that plane, she's not very interesting. Though I should probably show you this shot where she has the hat and the plane at the same time. And next up, we have this space police officer, which is kind of an interesting and cool thing, especially for fans of the space police theme. And he actually has a ton of accessories. He's got those black handcuffs, which were first introduced in the Disney Train and Station, so I guess it's nice to see these still around. He also has that shield that I believe originated in Star Wars with the Force Awakens sets. And that's kind of cool. It's got the police logo in there, which is nice. And underneath that, you can see his torso armor, which I believe originated with the Series 7 Galaxy Patrol dude. And, it's got the classic space logo printed on there, which is kind of cool. I believe the helmet is from Nexonites, though I could be wrong. And it does, allow you to have the visor on there and pull it up and down. It has the police logo. I don't know. Is that a specifically Space Police logo? I don't think so. I think that might be new for this guy, but I could be wrong there. I'm not a huge Space Police expert. I do like the dual molding on this helmet, though. I think that's kind of neat. And the face print is very simple and smiley and happy, which is nice for your happy cop, but you could make him a bad cop, too, with his other face print, which feels like Kai from Ninjago's face print without the eyebrow scar, and that is, the original Kai face print from Ninjago, and that's what that looks like, with the visor down. But we do have to get underneath his armor piece in order to see his torso print, though he does have 2 more accessories, which are a little baton thing, which, that's kind of neat, and he does have a Space Blaster, which was originally used by the Series 7 Galaxy Patrol, and underneath he's got this cool police uniform, which is very Futuron-inspired. Feels like the same sort of design style as Futuron sets. That's cool. Nice little classic space throwback there, and I do like his little belt. Very simple, just a little gold belt buckle printed on the hip piece, and the legs are dual molded with the boots. And I like the angular style of the top center of the boot. I think that looks pretty cool as well. Overall, a lot going on with this figure, but I really like it. There's also an alien in the series, which I guess kind of goes along with the Space Police guy pretty well. Maybe he's an alien criminal, but he does have a crowbar, which would kind of maybe suggest that that's true. I think it's a new color crowbar, so I don't know, maybe he's actually a crowbar manufacturer and did nothing wrong, and definitely didn't steal that crystal that he has. Though it's very possible that he stole it, because it is just a basically exact copy of a Chi crystal from Chima, because it's the same mold and same color and everything, nothing new about it. So just saying that might be a little bit suspicious enough to confiscate that. He didn't steal his head mold, though. That's a brand new thing. It's cool. It's well done. Dual molded and got good printing on there. That's neat. You can turn it side to side a little bit, but the little, breathing mask doesn't allow for full rotation there. And he's got, some decent printing on the torso. I really like the arm printing. I think that came out really nice and, works well. As well as the leg printing. He's got side leg printing there in metallic silver, and printing on the back of his torso as well, which I think all looks really good. And last up we have this cabaret singer, and, it's a fine figure. Feels kind of like just a pop singer that is relatively generic. Feels almost like something out of the Lego Movie 2 series, but it's not. I would probably go decently well with, those figures, you know what I'm talking about, from the Lego Movie 2 series. Just come with a microphone stand, which is nothing really special. If you push the bar too far down, the hollow stud won't stick onto one of the studs. Be careful about that if you're trying to put it down, but you could just have her holding it, as I just did. The microphone is not a new color for that. I'm pretty sure we've seen that in quite a few Friends sets. It doesn't have the ball of the microphone printed completely around, though. It's only on the top side, which is a little bit of a shame, because I kind of prefer the ones where it's got a bit more silver on there. But the torso and leg printing are fine. Just got some sparkles on there, which are really obvious when they shine in the light. And her headgear piece is interesting, to say the least. The torso print does not quite get the yellow right, so I guess quality-wise, that's probably the worst single instance of printing that I can pick out. Like, this is the only spot where I noticed that colors aren't printed as opaque as they should be. It does have the nice sparkly kind of cape that I believe was first used for Vitruvius, and that does just go around her legs to kind of create a little bit of a flowy skirt. She does have 2 facial prints. One is just smiling with heavy makeup, and the other one is singing with heavy makeup. So if you want a character with heavy makeup to be doing either of those things, this face print is for you. That's pretty much all there is for this figure. Again, I don't really have any complaints about how well it's done, aside from the skin tone printing. And actually, I guess because of the skin tone printing, this probably ends up being my least favorite. Though, I don't think it's an inherently bad figure, and I think that, it's decent enough for what it is. As the latest entry into the general category of unlicensed CMF series, I think that this one, does hold its own. I think that a couple of these figures are probably going to be pretty memorable long term, especially the Space Police guy and the Castaway, at least to me personally. Though, I do have to say I think that this is a step down from Series 19. I know that might be a slightly unpopular opinion, because I know a lot of people have really liked this series, and I think that's great. I mean, I'm happy that people are still buying unlicensed CMF series. Obviously, step down kind of comes from the fact that there are just fewer figures in the series. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I just think that there was more to care about in, say, Series 20 than in this series. Though, that being said, there's really not anything bad here, and I think quality-wise, again, they're still holding their own with, like, ever since they've switched to the kind of newer style of bags. I think that, for the most part, I haven't really noticed any quality issues with the figures themselves, and they do feel really good. They feel the same as minifigures you'd find in regular sets, which I started to notice plastic quality issues back with Harry Potter Series 1 in particular. So, these are all pretty well-made figures and really good-looking, and the only printing issue that I noticed again was with that cabaret singer. But, it's just that I feel like in a series so small, having 2 costume characters, I think, is too much for a 12-figure series. 16-figure series, then yeah, sure, 2 costume characters is fine. It's just, in here, I kind of would like to see a little bit more variety. And again, you do have the Alien and Space Police guy, which are kind of a little bit more similar than I'd like to see. Because, with something like Series 20, I think that there was more variety in a series that had, like, I don't think there were 2 figures in that series that kind of were as similar, aside from the fact that there were kind of 2 costumes. But, yeah, I mean, that being said, I think that for the most part this is still a good series, and I definitely would recommend getting them. I think my least favorites here are probably the Airplane Girl and the singer, just because I don't really care that much about the singer. I think my favorites here, again, easily are going to be the Castaway, Space Police guy, and probably Violin Kid too, followed closely by the Beekeeper. So, I guess more I like here than I dislike, but, I think that the overall selection could maybe have been more interesting, though they have been doing this for 21 series, so obviously you're going to get to a point where there is a little bit of lack of new stuff. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this review of Series 21. And is it worth the $5 price? I would say, in this case, yes. I think that the majority of these figures are worth the price and kind of averages out, especially when you get the Dolphin in here, too. And the Centaur body, get some bigger stuff. So, probably the only ones here that I would say maybe aren't worth it are the Violin Kid, just because he's so simple. But I do really like him, and if you like the Violin piece, then, it's worth it for you. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this review. See you guys all next time with another video. Bye, everyone.